Earlier, I introduced you to Grim. In this video, I will introduce you to SPRITE, which is built on the same machinery as Grim, and it also works well with integer data, so whole numbers again, and it can handle sample sizes that are considerably larger than 100. All right, so that is one of the things that it does extremely well. You can see it has some defaults already, and I'll show you how to play around with some of this stuff as you need to. Okay, so let's imagine that we we have a scenario where somebody does a competitive reaction time task. So the idea is that if an individual wins, they get to send noise blasts of various levels. And let's say that the authors for this particular study set that up on a 0 to 4 scale, with 0 being really no noise, 1 being 70 decibels and onwards. Okay. But that's how they decide to scale it. So it's falls in the range of being an integer scale. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the minimum scale value 0. I'm also going to go ahead and make the maximum scale value 4, since that's the maximum that the authors used. Okay. Now, one of the things that I will run into is that, again, we have to consider granularity here. And one of the things I have to keep in mind is that if there are multiple iterations where the participants were able to set noise blast levels, I have to multiply the original sample by however many times they were able to set noise blast levels. Okay, so in this situation, the original sample size was 26, but there were 15 occasions where the participants were able to set noise blast levels. So 26 times 15 ends up being 390. So that's what I'm going to set my sample size to. Now I do have a target mean, and that target mean is going to be 3.59. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set that up, 3.59. The target standard deviation is going to be 0.42. That's what the authors report. We're going to go ahead and keep the default of 2 decimal places. Now you can choose how many results you want to generate, okay? And you can go as little as 1 result to as many as 100. And you can knock yourself out however you want. I'm going to go ahead and use the default of 9 because chances are if I'm going to find anything, I'm going to find it pretty quickly there. If I want to see more possible distributions, then I can increase that later on. Okay, it's not a big deal. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use a fixed seed. That way, if I were to download the data, then I can basically have anybody else who wanted to look at it reproduce what I did and get the same results. Okay, so that's the idea anyways. And I will find out in just a minute if we have mathematically possible mean and standard deviation. And I'm going to go ahead, you notice I'm just going to leave these blank for right now. Ooh, this is not good. As you can see, the mean probably is okay, but the target standard deviation of 0.42 is too small. The minimum standard deviation apparently would be 0.49. So in other words, there's some sort of an inconsistency in that report, and we need to figure out what that inconsistency is. And that again might mean hoping that the author has uploaded and archived the data, then I can kind of hone in on where something may have gone amiss. Otherwise, it's a matter of contacting the author and saying, hey, look, I just kind of noticed this and this looks like a problem. Um, and here's how I discovered that it was a problem. Please help me to understand what happened. And maybe they'll be cool and they'll talk to me, or maybe they'll just simply ghost me. Okay. But, as you can see now, I can say, all right, I'm good to go. I've got everything I want. And, there is a space to download. Um, and I can do that if I wanted to. So, anyways, go ahead and play around with Sprite a little bit. Again, like Grim, I want you to see this as a tool that you can actually use as you are completing your course of study here at the university. And if you go on into graduate school, uh, you have the power at your disposal to actually um, to find inconsistencies on your own, and in the process, maybe help to make the science more trustworthy. All right, thank you very much for your time. Uh, Good luck using Sprite. I hope that you will bookmark Sprite and also Grim and any other tools that I have shared with you, um, so that you can assess for yourself whether or not the claims that you are seeing and the data that are being reported are valid.